Hello, friends, neighbors. John, your risk neighbor here. Welcome to the Nook. It's Saturday, and I thought, well, why didn't we shoot a little rye together? I recently went across the country and picked this up all the way over in Manitoba. Got back and realized I haven't talked to you guys about Elijah Craig Rye before. So, if you have any Elijah Craig Rye or any one of the ryes known as barely legal, right? We're talking 51%, and then the rest in corn and some barley mixed in. Why don't you pour a bit? I'm going to compare it a little bit to Knob Creek because it's another barely legal that I've got on the shelf. And, I like rye. Hope you do too. This will just be my thoughts on Elijah Craig. 3, 4. Thanks for coming back. As I said in the opener, this is a barely legal rye. So Elijah Craig out of the Heaven Hill Distillery, I think it's 51. I know it's 51% rye. I believe it's around 34% corn, 36% corn. Now I'm trying to think about it, and the balance in barley. It's released at a nice proof point, right? We're at 94 or 47%. And, I wish I had a bottle of Rittenhouse to compare it to because, coming out of the same distillery, I think that'd just be such a natural comparison. Sadly, I don't have it on the shelf. So when we get to comparison, I'll shoot a little against Knob Creek. But, Elijah Craig is, a simple, available, but classy bottle. I like the way it looks, and I do like their bourbon, even their small batch. I miss the old bottle, 12-year-old, but the small batch is tasty. It's a good bourbon. Let's see what this straight rye gives me. Kind of nose and taste. The rye is present, but it's not overwhelming. There's a little bit of, so that comes off like a little bit of spice, a little bit of, ryegrass in there, but quite a bit of corn sweetness right up front. Like it's speaking a little bit bourbon, a little bit oak. But there is a spicier nature, or as I said, a little bit of that rye grain, rye bread grass kind of going on. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. Again, we've got a really nice balance between some sweet corn, kettle corn, cooked corn, and a spicier, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of red cinnamon hearts, a little bit of big red gum, a little bit of that. So that's not an artificial cinnamon that kind of kicks around. But thankfully, then the oak comes in and kind of gives it a backbone and a bracing. Some nice little bit of black tan, a little bit of black tea. Try another sip. Cheers. I think it plays well in that. Just a little bit of. Is it anise? Yeah, just a little bit of anise and a little bit of allspice mixed in with that. I like it. I don't think it's gonna, radically change anyone's impression of rye, but it's tasty. It's decent price on the shelf. I got it out in Manitoba. I can't remember if I told you that already, which was kind of fun. Came back and then I see it on all the shelves here. I'm like, why didn't I get it here? Strange. But what I do appreciate about it is I would say that sweeter oak, that kind of kettle corn, but balanced with some nice rye spice. It really plays in that high rye bourbon, low rye, high corn rye kind of area. So I don't think it's going to satisfy anybody who might call himself a rye head or something like that. We're not talking a 95.5 or 100% rye. It is not. It's got a bit of mass appeal to it. But that's okay. It still tastes like a rye to me. It's sweet, and I like it. Oh, I guess I'm deep enough into it to give it a star value. Maybe 3 3/4. That sounds about right. I think I said I really should shoot this against Rittenhouse, another Heaven Hill. Very similar. I think they differ by a couple of percent of barley. But I don't have that. In my mind, that is fruitier and more cinnamon. But I do have Knob Creek. And, Knob Creek Rye out of Jim Beam instead of Heaven Hill is another barely legal rye, right? So we're playing in that 51% rye content, and then the balance in corn and barley. Here we've kicked up our proof. We're at 100 instead of 94, so that's 50%, but that's awfully close. I don't believe this is one that has a age stamp. No, so I know for a while, all the Knob Creeks have the 9-year. Their bourbon has that on it. This doesn't have an age stamp on it, so I don't know whether it's a 7-year rye or whatnot, but let's give it a go on the nose. Interesting. I'm getting just a little more, a little more pine, like a little more sharpness on the nose. Coming back, this is more toasted, a little bit of almond. Yeah, this has more oak and more, like there's a little bit of that kind of rye sharpness you can get sometimes. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. I know it's a few percent stronger, but it is stronger in presence. This is more relaxed, a little sweeter, a little bit, I said that kettle corn here. I definitely have more cracked pepper, slight pine, slight of that grassy rye. It's still barely legal, so it's not like a lot of rye, but it is more oaky, more and more sharp. I don't know how else to say that. These are clearly both young, and they're not young in the sense of problematic young, but you can get some of those sharper alcohols. It's interesting. Before this head-to-head, I would have pegged my favorite of these two to be Knob Creek, and it still might, if I'm looking for more punch. It's got more oak, it's got more pepper, it's got more to say, but if you're not really in a rye, but you like a little bit of rye, or you like high rye bourbons, this Elijah Craig might just fit the bill. That's why I shoot them head to head, and that's why, while I obviously I've had them before and I have notes and whatnot, I really like tasting them today with you and sharing where I am right now. I feel like I was a little bit disorganized today, so I apologize for you. My thoughts are kind of all over the place. It's been a fun week at work, and by fun, I mean there's been a lot of tougher decisions to make. And so my heart goes out to all the people in education as we've kind of come back together, and I think schools sometimes are the safe place for kids, and I want us to always be the safe place for kids, but what I mean is there's some tough things going on in our communities, and I really hope our schools can be that place for a little bit of nutrition if you don't have that at home, and also be that safe place where things are predictable and we know how to get together and get along, and we don't really have to worry about some of the harder voices that are out there right now. I'm not sure why I went down that path, but it was a tough week, so cheers to all of you teachers and educators out there. You guys are doing some pretty tough work. Take care.